Welcome back to another episode of Event Exchange with EMC Meetings and Events. We are here with Jody Wallace today, CEO of EMC Meetings, and today we're talking about vendors versus having strategic partners. So, Jody, one of the things you've talked about in previous episodes is working with your clients as partners and not a vendor, working across their portfolio of events from trade shows, user conferences, road shows, incentive programs, sky's the limit, client dinners, working across every part of the funnel and sales cycle there. So tell us a little bit about when someone's thinking about working with an event agency, what separates a vendor from a strategic partner?
Great question. And vendors, I would say vendors and partners are both important to the delivery of an event. So just say that first. And vendors are, in our company, are vetted, right? We want to make sure we bring on someone that has the same 5-star service quality that we have. So even though they're a vendor, they're vetted, and we'll talk about partner next. And a vendor is someone probably in a specific area or a need that's really just a one-off or a specific, like for example, we're in Dallas and we need ground transportation and we needed them to go from here to there and transport 1,000 people, right? Or we need gifting, or so many of the vendors are local to where we're having the event and are a needed part of delivery. That's what I would say. They're very reactive. They're not strategic. They do exactly what, the contract says they need to do, but they do it well because we make sure we bring on the right vendor for the right program with the right client. So that's what I would classify as a vendor.
Okay. And what separates them from a strategic partner?
Partners are all about being part of the whole ecosystem within the company. So when I think about a partner, I think that partner is someone who's going to be very strategic, who understands with specific clients where we're going, where's the vision, and being part of that vision. So they are step in step with us, or lock and step, as they say, with us to deliver that 5-star customized event. That might look like an audiovisual and production partner. That could look like a technology partner. And when we think of partners like that, they're coming with us to multiple different events with one client, or with us, multiple events with multiple clients. And what I love about partners and the partners we have is they know us, we know them, they know our clients. And we're all street. The goal is, right, at the end of the day, it's always the goal of the event and the goal of the company. And so we can really work together to customize that 5-star experience. So as we've said before, we're a luxury boutique. We're not an industry giant. We're not doing 25,000 events, right? We're working with many events to drive across their entire ecosystem of events. And we do that effectively with our partners. I'll share just one story because years back when I thought about the partner ecosystem, my husband's a general contractor. So I was admiring, he brought me to one of the buildings he built, and he built this amazing fire station in our area. And I'm looking at the building and I said, how did you do that? How did you build this amazing building? He said, well, I've got great partners. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I can't do it without hiring an electrician to do all the electrical work in the building, or a plumber, right? So, just like building a building, building an event, it takes great partners to make it all come together. You can't be all things to all people. I see a lot of agencies that have tried to bring it in-house, and they don't bring it in-house as effective as a company that's a standalone partner who drives the same level of quality as we do. And that's what we're looking for. And when we find it, I love that word, magic. It's just magic because and the customers look at all of us as one, right? Even though we're, multiple organizations. And they think we're one. We are one organization, really, but we do have our own individual businesses. But I think that's the difference.
And when you say you work strategically with clients, what does that mean?
So when a client comes to us and we really sit down and take a look at what they have internal resources. So let's say we're working with a CMO and they have internal marketing, design and or content. So it really depends. So we first have to understand what they bring internally to the table and what we need to bring. And once we strategically understand that, then we can bring the whole team together, all working together strategically to drive the vision.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is signs of a vendor would be taking orders, reactive. They're not necessarily following up post event. They're hired for a specific job. They do that job and then they move on. Versus a strategic partner, someone who's maybe more proactive, understanding and maybe even helping develop some of those business goals, anticipating needs, and then bringing it all together. We were with some clients earlier this week, and I remember specifically one saying is, with the partner ecosystem, having a strategic agency partner as opposed to a vendor agency is, he said, they make it easy for me.
Correct.
And I think that's the difference.
We're filling in all the pieces to the pie, right? So we're filling in. Again, we have one customer that we're doing from experiential marketing design to data analytic. So the whole journey, the whole cycle, of the partner ecosystem. So we're fitting in as the agency where the needs are specifically across a specific client's needs. So that one client you're referring to, they had their own internal marketing design. If we're doing banners, they're creating the banners or badge and branding and all of that. But what they needed was AV and production. They needed data analytics. They needed all the tech to support. And tech sometimes in multiple areas of tech, right? So, the lead capture devices versus the registration or the mobile app or the check-in. So sometimes you can have different partners or different vendors and different levels of needs. So it does take a village.
Yeah. And how does that change service delivery when you're working with a vendor versus a strategic partner? Like what do your clients see differently with you because you are a partner to them as opposed to just a vendor?
Well, and just like that client said at the event, he said, there's trust there, right? I know you're going to hire the right or bring in the right partner or vendor for my event that understands my needs because you understand my needs and will deliver on those needs. So just as important to vet a vendor as a partner, but understanding the different delivery of each. So at the end of the day, it's ensuring they have the same quality and mission as we have. And we're all working together with one goal, and that's customer satisfaction, right? That's making that client at the end of the day say what this client said. Yeah. You make it easy, And I said, well, you make it easy because you tell us what your needs are, right? So it's both of us working together to understand what are their internal strengths as a company and what are our external strengths as an agency to bring it all together.
Love that. And as someone who might be starting to maybe look for a new agency partner or they're reevaluating their current agencies that they're working with, what are some things they should be thinking about when they're either wanting to make a transition or bring someone new in? And they intentionally don't want a vendor. They want a strategic partner, someone they can trust.
Yeah.
Where do they start evaluating that?
Well, again, I mean, if you're going to, most times if you're going to an event agency like ourselves, you think of us as kind of a one lane, and that's more the logistical on-site support, right? And we're much more than that as an agency, right? We have a partner ecosystem that comes with us. So as you're looking and look at us as an agency, know and ask those questions of your agency. Who are your partners to deliver upon my needs? Most, I would say, as we look outside, either the agency has brought it in-house or not, but sticks to their lane. I think we operate in a very different goal with our clients. We're helping them with with all the needs of all the players, not just one lane.
Say more about that. When you say you're helping them meet all the needs of all the players, what does that mean?
Well, again, if we think of the entire journey of an event, so we're thinking on the front end, well, we have to create the ideation, the curation. We've got to create what's the messaging, what's the story. So we're starting up in the marketing area, right? Of creating, hey, I want to do a client event. It's going to be 500 people, and we want to do it in the fall next year. And what do we got to do, right? How do we take that from a concept to actuality? And so it's starting at the very beginning, really creating the storyboard for the event and understanding the metrics of the event, right? What's the goals, what's the return on that event, and then just taking it through the entire journey. So the next thing we're taking a look at after we do that ideation and brand. Okay, now what's all the pieces we have to fill in? The technology side of the pieces, the audiovisual and production, the talent, the content, the roll up at the end. So it's more than just an event agency, planning menus, doing ground transportation, right? It's a much bigger responsibility and dynamic than something, not that some agencies don't just do that. And that's a vendor to me. It's a vendor agency versus a partner agency. I think that's the difference.
And if someone wanted to start moving their maybe vendor agency into that strategic partner role, maybe to evaluate and make a change or even just to elevate the conversation, what are some questions they should be asking of their agency to get to that strategic partnership level?
So I would definitely prep those specific questions and really have that one-on-one conversation with your agency. Here is where internally we're strong, and here is where we may or may not know what we need to deliver upon our event portfolio. And if you have an agency like ours, we would definitely be in conversations looking across all the tech stack, right? All the vendors, all the partners that are going to drive that event to success. And those are the questions to ask your agency. Tell us what vendors and partners you're working with, not specific names, right? But sure. Delivery that will help us across these multiple events. And, the answers are telling to that question, whether or not that agency can deliver upon that request. We don't look at it as we just do incentives, or we just do client events, or we just do trade show. We do all of the above, and all the above with different vendors and partners to deliver. So we've kind of mapped that out already. It takes time as an agency. Hey, 25 years, right? Yeah. We've arrived, but it does take time because you have to know, and you have to be in sync with your partners and your vendors. They all have to understand. We were just in a meeting, and one of our strategic partners on the audiovisual production side said, what I really enjoy about working, and this customer that Megan's talking about was in the room as well, is that we're all 5-star. We deliver we care that much. And the most important thing is that the client gets, the desired outcome. And that says it all to me. That brought a big smile. I was like, yes, that's what, I don't have to tell you that, right? Because we vetted them, and we've worked together in many events together, and we debrief all the time, and we strategize with the client. How do we take this event and how do we make that event better next year? And not being afraid to look ourselves, in the face to say what went really well, because a lot goes well, but where maybe do we need to make it better? And having those open conversations is critical to the evolution of the events.
And when we're thinking about events, are you a strategic partner versus a vendor working on singular programs? Are you looking across the portfolio? Are you working in lockstep with multiple stakeholders within your client's organization? Does that kind of help define you as a partner agency versus just a vendor that helps them do great events?
Yeah, that's such a great question because we're not an agency like some of the agencies, and we hear this from our customers. You do it my way or the highway. They're coming in and they're taking over, and that is just not our approach. We're coming in and we're delivering, and on your specific vision, not a cookie cutter vision. And hey, if you're doing 25,000 events, maybe you have to have a cookie cutter vision, right? That's just not the place we're living in. We're a luxury boutique place we're living in. And so for some clients, we're just doing their trade shows, their field marketing trade shows. They have a larger internal event team and they're handling the large congresses, or they're handling, maybe one of the trade shows and not all, or it all depends. So it's just analyzing their internal strength, bench strength. Most of the clients we work with, I should say all the clients we work with, we're internally working with their event team. It's not that we are internally their event team. We could be. We've had that situation with some events, but most of the time they're the internal strategists working with the internal teams, and we're expediting, executing outside of that with our vendors and our partners.
Yeah, I remember back in my planner days, there were definitely partners that I had that were just the doers. So those were my vendor lists. And then I had other vendors that I grew into partnerships that were working bigger with me. We were having those deeper, business review meetings every quarter on how do we grow ourselves? How can they help us grow the business? I'm asking deeper questions of, instead of here's the RFP, go source this, or do my transportation, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, yeah. And many people just silo those things, right? They don't look at it as a bigger delivery. They just look at these one-off tasks. I think we look at it under the whole ecosystem. This event, in previous podcasts I was talking about, we're doing, for the 500 people, they're all in lockstep to deliver, right? From the venue itself to the caterer we have to bring in, to the talent we have to deliver, to all the little activations we're having, right? Everyone has to be together and delivering. It can't just be, oh, hey, we're bringing in, this talent, and it's not aligned in timing and with program vision. So it's just everyone working together with the end result.
And what do you think the benefit is of having a strategic partner versus a vendor with your agency?
Well, couldn't live without them, right? I just couldn't even imagine. When we're coming into an event, think about it, right? We're doing a 2,000 person event, and we're walking in, with that AV and production partner, and we're walking in with that, the trade show floor partner. We're walking in with the talent, the ground transportation. I think of all the partner. We're all walking in together. We know how to work together. We know how to deliver together. We know how to talk to each other. There's not, I haven't met you yet, and I have to now project manage someone I haven't vetted. It's really nice to know when you have someone who without the shadow of a doubt is going to just
Yes,
block
that
and
trust
stab.
factor.
Yeah.
And then what's the benefit to the end client? So your clients work with you as a strategic partner, and what do they benefit from having you as their strategic agency partner?
Trust. Trust might be my biggest word. I don't have to worry about that, right? I don't have to. I know that if I have this need, EMC meetings and events will deliver on my need. I don't have to even think about it. I the client the other day said, I have a strategic partner. We called us a strategic partner. I've trained him well. I have a strategic partner that I just trust and I don't have to worry because no matter what I give them, they'll deliver because they have the backing to do that, right? And so that's, again, going back to that question you had before, understanding that your agency does have some bench strength in the industry and they have thought about the difference between a vendor and a partner, and they come prepared. And the other day I had, a client call and go, "Oh my goodness, I think my planner's gonna leave." What do you mean? And he said, "Yeah, I don't know. It's a feeling I have. Can you help?" I'm there. Yeah, sure. Let's just put a person to be lock and step with them for a few months to just help navigate different possibilities, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, the good news is that never happened. And by the way, the client came back and said, that was a brilliant idea I had because my own internal planner, well, by working with your planner, is a better planner because saw it both sides. So it was a good outcome, back. But it's, again, it's having those partners or vendors in your pocket to deliver at any point in time to your client.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. And what do you like to always say to your clients?
When events are brighter, the company is stronger.
Thanks for another great episode. See you next time.